In this section, we will discuss security of radioactive materials as well as posting and labeling requirements. This may be common sense, but it is unacceptable to have food and drink in posted radiation spaces. This restriction also extends to chewing gum or applying cosmetics, because performing any of these actions has the potential to increase your internal exposure. It's possible to have some modified areas within a radiation space where you can have food and drink. However, these spaces are not common and have to be approved by the Radiation Safety Committee. There are several postings which are required when using RAM. We've already discussed the NRC Form 3, which, as a reminder, is the form that discusses your rights as a worker and how to contact the NRC with safety concerns. The radiation safety staff also requires each room to have the radiation emergency procedures posted. This posting will also need to be filled out with contact information at the bottom. Typically, you would list the PI's name and contact information along with any other delegates. The other main posting required is caution radioactive material on the doors. Whenever you set up your lab, the radiation safety staff will provide these postings and stickers for you. Additional postings may be required depending on the type of room and sources of radiation used. Some rooms can be designated as what's called transitory use only. This means that RAM may be occasionally used in the space, but for no longer than 8 hours at a time. In transitory use only rooms, RAM cannot be stored, and a documented survey must be performed after each use of RAM to ensure no contamination is present. An example of this kind of space would be a patient administration room in a hospital. It is important to label your containers with proper information. Most all containers of RAM must be labeled as radioactive and include information describing the contents of the container. This allows others who may enter the lab to know what the hazards are within the container. If you need to dispose of a container that has a radioactive sticker on it, you can either remove the sticker and dispose of it in the radioactive trash, or you can deface the sticker and throw it in the regular trash. It is an NRC violation to dispose of labels with a radiation trefoil in the regular trash. Unrestricted areas are areas where RAM is not allowed and members of the public can access. Transitory use rooms, which we just discussed, are considered unrestricted areas. It is important to survey yourself and your work area when you are done using RAM before exiting a restricted area and going into an unrestricted area, because this will minimize the spread of contamination and ultimately minimize the dose the public can receive. A restricted area is an area where RAM is used and stored, and security of that space must be maintained. When using RAM in a restricted area, remember to do the following. Wear proper PPE, including safety glasses or goggles. Implement ALARA practices. Label vials and equipment. Maintain accurate inventory records of your RAM. Keep your radiation safety training up to date. Survey your area and yourself when you are done using RAM, and use engineering controls to minimize internal dose. Security of radioactive materials is a major priority. As a radiation worker, you are responsible for maintaining the security of your RAM, and this cannot be emphasized enough. To maintain security of RAM, you must either lock the RAM up when not in use or lock the door when no one is present. If you are using RAM, then you must maintain it within your line of sight at all times. For example, if you are the only person in a lab and you need to leave to use the restroom, you must lock the door before exiting. If you have to leave the lab for even 30 seconds, you must lock your RAM up or lock the door. If you ever do find RAM unsecure, take the following steps. Immediately reestablish security. This could be simply locking the door. Notify your PI of the issue. Perform an inventory of all RAM, including waste, and notify the RSO. When you notify the RSO, be sure to include a description of the event so the RSO can perform an investigation and dose assessment to ensure members of the public could not have received or exceeded their dose limits from this potential exposure. Scan the QR code on your screen to read more information about the security policy within the Radiation Safety Manual.